The local problem we will be talking about in our video is how the state of Illinois helps kids who have learning disabilities. To determine whether Illinois is doing enough to help kids who have learning disabilities, first thing we will do is look at how much money from the Illinois budget is being spent on schools. We will look to see if enough money from the Illinois budget is being used to support these schools or if they are being underfunded. Then we will look at how this money is being distributed to see how much kids with learning disabilities benefit from this funding. After looking at how this funding for these schools is being handled, we will look at what ethical theories can be used to improve how public schools help kids with learning disabilities. We will also look at how this ethical theory will help improve the situation, such as whether it involves increasing funding for the schools or distributing it differently.
One of the most talked about and debated about problems of the Illinois school system is whether or not they get enough funding. This especially concerns students who have special needs and whether or not they're actually getting the care and resources that is required to ensure that they will too succeed. Considering that in 2015, $1.5 billion was taken out of the Illinois budget to give to Chicago public school systems, it's safe to say that they should be fine. But a study shows that only $14,300 was given per student to ensure that they have enough resources. Well, oddly enough, $14,000 was only given to special needs students. That's sort of counterintuitive, considering that it's a well-known fact that special needs students with behavior or more specifically learning disabilities like ADHD, they require more time and patience, and probably they would require a little bit more of the resources, so it would seem to be understandable that they would require a larger budget, but somehow they're being given a smaller one. Now, the way we can look at this and solve this as a ethical issue is that the ethical issue right now is that people are not using the veil of ignorance nor equal distribution. They took a right step forward in making sure that at least $1.5 billion, which is a testament considering in past years they were given less than that, was used and given to the public school systems. But also, now, if we were to apply using the veil of ignorance, that means people who are divvying up the budget would have to put themselves into the positions of the students or the position of the students' parents. Would they believe that's enough to give the child enough time and resources if they were to be given only $14,300, or would they think they need a little bit more? If they were to put themselves in that position, I believe they would believe they need more as well. Now, equal distribution is a little bit more difficult, considering that Illinois is facing a current crisis regarding other public safety health. Should a student in a public school be given more money than someone who is a patient at a public health clinic? These are the questions that are facing us now. And we have to actually honestly think, would someone who is more educated be able to afford private insurance? I believe if we invest in the public school system now, these issues will not be completely obsolete, but they will be handled.
Relating all of this back to ethics, like we said before, you could easily use Rawls's distributive justice theory. We talk about using the veil of ignorance and putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. If you were to chance become somebody with ADHD, would you be okay with the help you're getting? Would you feel like you'd be getting equal treatment than to those without learning disabilities? If you were to use the min-max rule, the gap would be pretty wide. This also goes back to what we talked about in chapter 7 when it comes to treating equals equally and treating unequals unequally. You can't treat those with learning disabilities equal to those without. They require special attention. They require more tutoring. They require more help and funding. To add to this, there are, not to say that there's nothing being done right now, there are things being done right now, like they're opening up, there are places like the Cognitive Solutions and Learning Center. There's another place called the Acadia Academy. There's also places like the Wolcott School. There's schools like this that are doing great things. They're providing great tutoring. They're making sure that they help students get the help what they deserve.
What's being done currently with learning disability children is that there's actually programs that schools have implemented all over the Illinois state and all over the country, to be honest, like after school homework clubs or after school tutoring. And that's great, but considering the fact that what's really need to be targeted right now is the inner city Chicago students, because those are the ones that are being affected most of it in our area. We need to have more time and more patience with these children, and they need more resources.
is at the end of the day. Only spending $14,000 on each student a year is proving not enough. And these children need more help to ensure that they will succeed. I would recommend offering students more one-on-one teacher time, like having a teacher aide in the classroom with certain students that seem to be falling behind a lot easier. Students with ADHD, they require more patience, so maybe putting them in an alternative classroom where a teacher can only have like maybe 5 to 1 student, one teacher at a time would be the optimal choice.
In conclusion, our group has come up with 3 things we got to tackle so we can tackle learning disabilities in school, and that is government funding, and that is health care, and it is also the disability of the child. We need to pinpoint the disability of the child and focus on their strengths and their weaknesses so we can better understand how to help them. We also need to provide more funding to these schools instead of cutting their budgets, because they can properly invest the money that we give them so they can hire more tutors, so they can provide more help for the students that need the help with the disabilities. We also need to find a way to pinpoint these students, because a lot of them are very shy. A lot of them don't really like to admit their disabilities, so we need to find a way to pinpoint these kids as well. In the end, it'll make everybody benefit, because more kids are getting an education, more kids are graduating and getting better jobs and possibly going on to college, and we will benefit economically as well.